To begin with, I thank you very much for inviting me to this event. I don't know why, but I'm a little sort of nervous speaking to a group of journalists, though, as Menika said, I shouldn't be because all my life I have kind of crossed over from law to journalism and from journalism to law. But since this is my duty, let me say a few words. I kind of still like print media. And on a recent visit to Shillong, I saw the sight which was fairly common in the old days, a group of men and women sitting by a street tea shop, reading a newspaper. And the first thought that came to my mind is, thank God, print media has not disappeared after the advent of print media, especially in the regional languages. Print media is still very much read. I want to say also a few words about radio. And, you know, the world woke up to the Second World War on radio. The world woke up to the dropping of the atomic bomb on the radio. The world woke up also to Nehru's tryst with destiny on the radio. So I think ruling parties have not forgotten the importance of radio. And this is why we have prime ministers announcing what they want to say in Man Ki Baat. So while we celebrate digital media and new media, let's not forget the power of legacy media. And radio is not available to new media because licenses are not given for news. They're given only for entertainment. Some would argue that there's little difference between entertainment and news now. So perhaps all of us can try and apply for licenses for radio as well. Now, having said this, I will not say anything about the domination of print media by big business because I think many of us know all this. I guess social media can also be dominated by big business, so they have that in common with each other. But of course, the difference between new media and legacy media is that new media, as was pointed out by Gurpreet, has put a mic in everybody's hands. Now, this is, of course, something great, but we all know that it could also be something very scary from the amount of trolling that we see. New media has also brought to the forefront all the fault lines of our society, including the most vicious form of hate speech, communalism, and sexism. I was amazed to read an email by the editors of Harvard Law Review refusing a Palestinian scholar to publish her article, The Ongoing Nakba, Towards a Legal Framework for Palestine, a piece written by a human rights attorney. And this is what they said. They said that the decision was unprecedented. But of course, this is what they said. The decision did not involve any substantive or technical aspects of your speech. Rather, the decision revolved around concerns about editors who might oppose or be offended by the piece, as well as concerns that the piece makes might provoke a reaction from members of the public, the rule of the mob, who might in turn harass, dox, or otherwise attempt to intimidate our editors, staff, and the Harvard Law Review readership. Close quote. This from one of the leading academic journals of the world. They are afraid, their editors are afraid to publish material which they consider to be technically correct. Taking an example from India, of course, let's see what happened with the public policy director of Facebook way back in, I think it was 2020. She's reported to have said, we may lose business if we point out the violations of our policy by the BJP. This was Ankidas. Of course, soon thereafter, she resigned from her position. I don't know why, whether she was asked to leave or whatever it was. But this is how big business speaks. This is how people in power speak. Of course, we have new challenges and old challenges. Section 124A continues to be a challenge for journalists. After all, we know that Mahatma Gandhi and Tilak were both prosecuted under 124A. We have to get ready to see a new and more vicious avatar of 122A in this winter session. Assent is going to be given to 3 bills which will replace the Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code, and the Indian Evidence Act. And other academics have pointed out how the heart of these changes relate to defining what is anti-national and what is not. As Menika pointed out, we at the Leaflet founded the Leaflet in 2018, and we felt compelled to challenge the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines for Digital Media Ethics Code and Rules of 2021. We had the good fortune of being represented in court by another very well-known lawyer of the Bombay High Court, Darius Khambata, and also the good fortune of coming up with a judgment where the 2 judges, Justice Dipankar Gupta and Justice Girish Kulkarni, said that the Code of Ethics published under the Press Council of India Act should not be implemented and enforced on digital media because it contains provisions which go beyond the restrictions in Article 19(1)A. It was a history-making decision, and we are proud that Leaflet took this challenge to court and grateful to the bar of the Bombay High Court, which stood solidly with us. As I mentioned, the Lawyers Collective, Anand and I, owe our personal liberty to Aspi Chinoy, who defended us in the Bombay High Court and got a no coercive action in our favor, which is the only reason why Anand and I are both today in this hall, in this Royal Opera House. So Aspi was very despondent about the way the judiciary is functioning. I must tell you that I'm not as despondent as you are, Aspi, and maybe we will meet one day and discuss the reasons why I am not so despondent. Now, I would end by saying a few words about what happened to NewsClick. Yes, you have been presented with data over here. I would like to represent this data by just giving you the statistics. The special cell of Delhi police raided the office of NewsClick and the residences of journalists early in the morning of 3rd October 2023. As per today's estimates, the raids took place at 80 locations, and close to 90 people were questioned and had their electronic devices seized. In the following days, 5 more people were raided and picked up and interrogated. The NewsClick office was sealed and then unsealed. When the police came to the office again on 4th and 5th October, out of the 90 people who were raided, interrogated, over 30 were taken to the special cell office at Lodi Road, Delhi, questioned and released only at night. In the subsequent days, many of them were called for further interrogation. I know that those who are now deputing for Prabir are being called and interrogated till today. I happen to be in contact with them, and I can tell you this with authority. Sanjay Pandey mentioned that the police, I'm sorry, I really didn't get the whole of it, but we should expect the police to do their job. But I know for a fact that in the case of NewsClick, no seizure memos were shown to them. No witnesses were called to witness the handover of the devices to them. No panchnama was provided to them. No FIR was provided to anybody. So it tells you a lot about how the rule of law is being undermined in this country. Well, more than 300 devices were seized, and a question was asked whether these seizures were in accordance with law. They were not. No hash values were provided for 300 devices. We also know from the Bhima Koregaon case that the issue has been taken to court whether this evidence can be relied upon, where also no hash values were taken. There are alternative reports which indicate that material was planted on the devices of Rona Wilson. One of them, of course, he stated to have kept lying around on his computer a message in which he says he was going to kill the Prime Minister of India. So this is the state of the law, and there is much to do. However, I would like to end with a news, on a note of hope. I have been in touch with the NewsClick journalists, and if any of you will just click on NewsClick, you will find that continuously and without interruption, NewsClick is being published. Every single day. Every single day. How does this happen? I did meet them and ask them, how did this happen? And here's what I was told by them. They said that immediately and without any leadership from Prabir, because he was in prison, teams within Leaflet banded together and started sharing their devices with each other to continue to produce the stories. They also told me that a lot of journalists who were not employed in NewsClick came to their rescue and offered their devices to them so they could continue to do their work. They also told me that regardless of the fact that they were being interrogated, they had not for a single day stopped doing their work as journalists. And they said also that they were extremely grateful for all the resolutions passed by different unions of journalists who had supported them. So yes, somebody said, I think Kalpana said, we didn't wake up when it came to Kashmir, but certainly I think the world of journalism has woken up when it came to NewsClick. And as some of them said, from the way things happened, it seemed almost as if journalism itself was a crime. But as I said, I wish to end on this note of hope, and I'm extremely grateful for the fact that journalists continue to do their job despite all odds. I will just say one sentence about the connect between lawyers and journalists. So I have also wondered why all my life I have been so interested in journalism, from starting the first print magazine in the country on law, The Lawyers, to the digital edition in 2018. It's a remark that another very well-known journalist made, P. Sainath. And I remember reading somewhere he said, every professional must also be a good journalist. Now, why did he say that? He said it because we professionals, regardless of which profession we belong to, have to know how to communicate our expertise in a language which can be understood by anybody. And that is what I think professionals should do, can do, and must do. Prabir also started his life as an engineer. And just before he wrote this book on the good fight, which spans the era of his arrest during the emergency till today, he wrote another book on the connect between science, technology, and society. It's also a book worth reading. And this is all I want to say. Thank you very much.